Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Man, it's been a while. Good to chat with our buddy Brooks Kubena, formerly of The Advocate, now with the Houston Chronicle, covering the Houston Texans. Brooks, we appreciate it, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Good to talk to you.
You too, man. Hope all is well there in H-Town. But how's it been here through 5 weeks with a rookie quarterback that seems to be outplaying every other rookie quarterback in the league in a year in which there were a plethora of highly drafted quarterbacks with a ton of expectation?
Yeah, it's hard to get hyperbolic about what CJ Stroud has done. He's thrown more attempts without any interceptions than any quarterback in NFL history to start a career. You see how he is during the games. I just got done talking to him today. He's getting to the point where he's so comfortable in the offense that, systems, they help support quarterbacks, but also the good ones are able to take it and create with it. And on Sunday, the final drive against the Falcons for the offense, they were able to drive in and almost have a game-winning drive for CJ Stroud, the first one of his career. But the touchdown throw he threw to Dalton Schultz, he was saying that in the huddle, he basically was drawing up a backyard football play for him so that he could make a move on the safety the way that he had seen. So, he's already mature in so many ways as a quarterback. He's taking leadership roles and steps that, these are grown men in the locker room that are already growing to respect him. I did a story with him earlier this year about how he invites people over pretty much every night. He has a private chef, and I was like, "Hey, man, want to come over? I got tacos. You can't really pass that up." So he's done so much, so well, so early. How
is he having the statistical success he is without? I mean, Brooks, I'll try to say it as in as kind or polite a way as I can, without a true number one receiver, a deep receiving core. I mean, it's Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Robert Woods. I mean, how's he doing it? How's this offense working like this?
Yeah, no, it's a great question because going into the year, it was one of my biggest questions. This was the wide receiver core that didn't have a lot of clear leaders on the team. Robert Woods, he only had one full year out of an ACL tear, and he's in his early 30s. Tank Dell, I think, is really one of the persons that has really elevated this wide receiver core. UH star, third-round pick. Him and CJ Stroud are really tight in their relationship over the summer. They're great friends, but that kind of helped them create together on the field, too. A lot of people wondered what Dell would do in the NFL considering his size, but the guy is a baller. We saw it in the preseason. He had the first touchdown reception, bobbled a bit, and still made the play. The way that they're using him around in the offense, outside, inside, stretching the field, that's why it's such a big absence on Sunday when he went out with a concussion and why the offense kind of slowed in the second half. And we'll see if he's coming back later in the week. He's still in concussion protocol, but against the Saints, that's going to be a big question if Dell's not involved. Nico Collins, I mean, he was a guy that Nick Caserio in his first draft, the general manager for the Texans, his first draft, he traded up into the third round to get him. And he's just been a guy that needed to be healthy, needed to be a part of an offense that had a quarterback and offensive line, the whole package to where he could perform, and he's done so. Already has 2 games where he set a career high. He's 6'4", big guy, can be a matchup winner. He's got enough speed. His elevation has come side by side with having a quarterback in CJ Stroud who can make these throws, make the plays, but also a play caller. We're seeing Bobby Sloak, first-time offensive coordinator, came in from San Francisco. So many offensive guys have come out of that, but he's done so well as a play caller too. So Nico Collins is still he's having a career year so far, and he's remained healthy. But Tank Dell has elevated that mostly, and that's been one of the main reasons why this offense has been able to go.
Brooks, I know Laramie Tunsil didn't practice on Wednesday because of the knee. How's he looking? I mean, is he trending toward playing on Sunday?
He rested today. Really the problem has been how much has the knee been swelling. He came back and practiced 2 games ago and wasn't ready to go and didn't take the trip to Jacksonville. He practiced last week, the whole week, and he was fine. Played through Sunday, every single snap. They do have veteran days installed, so this is one where they just gave Tunsil the day off. they don't have any questions about his performance. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler, the highest paid offensive lineman in history. So they'll check on him again as he comes in tomorrow. So it's been somewhat of a day-to-day thing with him, but it wouldn't surprise me if he played.
Brooks Kubena is our guest, Houston Chronicle. He's on Twitter at @BKubena. Give him a follow. Of course, formerly The Advocate. Got to spend plenty of time on this show with Brooks in the past talking LSU. Now just a different subject matter. I'll flip it over to the defensive side of the ball. Like we know DeMeco Ryans is a defensive guy. Played, obviously, linebacker in the NFL and was a great player and a great defensive coordinator in San Francisco. How much of that is transitioning here year one under DeMeco Ryans on the defensive side of the ball?
So he's elevated a lot of the attitude that the Texans have lacked in the last couple of years. It hasn't translated yet into the numbers that you'd expect, but they're still building this defense out, and they've lost some players to key injuries. Derek Stingley, everybody knows that name. He's on the IR. That's mitigated. I mean, that's been some problems in the secondary that they've had to work through. We can talk about that, but mainly everything DeMeco Ryans is trying to do comes from the front. That's why they traded up to get Will Anderson Jr. He hasn't quite had the sack numbers yet, but he's gotten quarterback hits out of he still ranks in the top 15 among that. But that's one of the big problems on Sunday, and why Desmond Ridder looked like Pat Mahomes for one game. They didn't get him for a sack throughout the game. They hardly got any pressure on him. They were really trying to get into the run game, which they limited Bijan Robinson to about 50 yards throughout the game. But they pretty much were like, all right, let's see if Desmond Ridder beats us, and he did. But they need to generate more pressure, getting sacks. Beyond Will Anderson, there are guys like Jerry Hughes who has been around for a long time, but Malik Collins is a name not many people know across the NFL, but he's been there since I started covering the team in 21. They've given him 2 contract extensions. He's a powerful defensive tackle who's gotten some quarterback hits, hadn't quite gotten to the quarterback yet, but they're good at the run, or at least being there. They could improve in tackling. Their linebacker core is still in flux. There's a lot of young guys. Henry To'oTo'o is a 5th-round pick from Alabama that is starting at Mike linebacker, which is really telling you a lot about where the maturity of this defense still needs to go. He's getting targeted a lot in pass coverage. I expect that the Saints will use that too with their big tight ends. I think one of the big things of this is Christian Harris. Everybody remembers him from Baton Rouge. Yeah. Went to Alabama. He's fast. He can stretch the field. Missed Sunday's game with the concussion. He practiced today. He'd be a factor with the Saints game coming up too. And these guys are all developing from the past couple of years where they have been the worst against the run. Now they're improving, but can they still get to the maximum pressure that you saw with the 49ers? With DeMeco Ryans, they're not there yet. They're not creating the turnovers at that rate yet, but no one expected that yet. But each game they're starting to get a lot better with that.
Brooks, I got a couple more for you. I also saw where you mentioned Stingley being out. I saw where the Texans signed Jason Verrett, former first-rounder out of TCU. I think a lot of people remember that name. DeMeco had him in San Francisco with the Niners. I know he's a practice squad guy. Is this a guy who might actually play Sunday, have an impact? I mean, is this noteworthy?
It is. Shaq Griffin was Derek Stingley's backup, and he stepped in after an ankle injury. He stepped in himself for Derek Stingley after his hamstring injury, and Shaq Griffin missed Sunday with an ankle injury. He's still out. He didn't practice today. So they went through Sunday's game with a guy named Kadar Holman, who had one start other than Sundays in his career with the Packers back in 2020. He played well, but they needed to add somebody as they're dealing with the injuries at cornerback. Stingley, he must miss 4 games on the IR. There's a possibility it lasts a little bit longer than that. He's dealt with some soft tissue injuries before, was out all last year with it. So they added somebody that they really liked. DeMeco Ryans heaped praise on him today. So that is someone that I think could be at least part of the depth. You know, you ask a guy to come in and start playing significantly after practicing just for 3 days. I don't think that's likely, but having somebody at least filling in the role that Holman did on special teams, or if he gets hurt for some reason, that they'd have a body prepared. So this is more long-term addition than it is what the Saints might expect from him, but there's definitely a lot of signals as to why the Texans signed him.
Brooks Kubena is with us, Houston Chronicle on Twitter at @BKubena. Y'all give him a follow. Hey, Brooks, if there is a if there's a blueprint, we know the Saints. The defense has been fantastic. The offense has really struggled this year. Maybe they found a little something last week in New England. But if DeMeco Ryans has that blueprint on Sunday, how does this thing go for the Texans? How would they like to see it go?
Well, they'd want to take the Jacksonville game where they just beat up on the Jaguars. They were able to get in the backfield, get sacks, pressure, create turnovers. Defensively, that's how DeMeco Ryans would want to play it. I know that the Saints have been using a lot of pre-snap motions and trying to get their other defensive players out of position, confused. We've seen that from the Texans. He'd want them to be disciplined and be prepared and make that first tackle. One of the problems the Texans have had has been getting guys down, so he'd want them to be fully taking care of business on that. And offensively, they have yet to see the run game move. And it's not just the offensive line. They've dealt with a lot of injuries. Titus Howard came back for the first time off the injured reserve, had hand surgery in training camp. He's been a right tackle mostly. He's playing left guard right now. I just say that in the context. We thought maybe the problem with the run game was that as soon as they maybe had some of their starters back, they'd be okay. That's not the case. Dameon Pierce, who has been one of the most powerful rushers last year as a rookie, is kind of starting to struggle in this offense. We've been talking about it this week. We're going to talk to him tomorrow and kind of see where he's at. I talked to him personally earlier in the year, and I'm starting to wonder if he's starting to overthink his role in the offense in some ways. Because he said, in his words, like, this might be funny to say, but I used to not even know how much yards were on the down. Now I look over there and say, oh, we need 4 yards. And he's starting to factor that in how he runs.
That is
but,
wild.
like, you think about that, though, when you see him run, there's his famous run from last year against the Jaguars. He broke 5 tackles as getting to the goal line and devoted an entire story to that run. But sometimes he just, go blank and just run forward, run people over. But in Slowick's system, it is a lot of zone running styles, and it takes patience. And he's not attacking holes as quickly and as hard as he used to. There was a couple of plays from Sunday in that way. So what he blueprint for that is that the run game finally gets going with Pierce being secure in where he's running, that they have a plan that helps that go. CJ Stroud has been amazing, but the entire offense, to keep that sustainable, to put points on the board, they need to be better on the run game, because if you look at the metrics and all of that, the pass game's carrying the load. They can't do that long term.
He is Brooks Kubena, Houston Chronicle, at B Kubena. Y'all give him a follow. Many of you probably already are from his time covering LSU. Brooks, it's great to chat, man. Congrats on doing a great job there in Houston, man. We appreciate a couple minutes today.
Hey, of course, Matt. Anytime.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.